welcome back everybody. So the last video I was running around resetting sets. We were anticipating having cold weather. It was supposed to be a day of cold weather, about freezing, and then warm back up. So that end of that last video, the day that we had you out there and I was doing the readjusting, was Wednesday, and the weather wasn't exactly what they expected. It was and it wasn't. So Wednesday night, after I readjusted those sets a couple hours before dark, 8:30 that night, and even when I went into work, it was still in the 50-degree range. It was slowly creeping down, but it was in that range. So in February in Vermont, that's odd. But anyways, so from that time, by 4 o'clock in the morning, it was 5 degrees on Thursday. 4 in the morning, 5 degrees. Wind chill of, I don't remember, it was crazy, but it was in the minuses, negatives. So was going to check yesterday, which was Thursday, but it was 35, 40, 45 mile an hour winds. Not just gusts, but it was pretty steady winds all day long. And it was just so cold that I'm not gonna get sick going from 50 whatever degrees the last 2 days prior to this. And then Vermont, we have 72 hours before we have to check water traps, legally by law. But it was supposed to warm back up Friday, which is this morning. So I said, well, we'll wait till Friday and check them. It's not going to hurt. So it's now Friday morning, and we're getting ready to gear up to go check traps. You can hear my dog is not very happy with me right now because he can't behave, so he has to be in his kennel, unfortunately. Still a pup. But we're getting ready to go check traps. It's still 20 degrees outside. It's supposed to be a high of like 44 or something like that today. And then, continue to warm up for a little while, for like a week or so. And we got some rain coming and whatever. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, realistically speaking, we have, from the couple hours before dark that after I reset everything, until it froze, which is probably a span of about 6 hours or so, give or take, maybe a little bit, that we would have had a probability of them beaver moving and actually have a catch. So I know this is a little bit long of an intro, but I wanted you to kind of understand, we've been roller coaster riding here weather-wise. You saw some of the freeze ups and thaw and freeze up and thaw, and this is what we're going through. So today's supposed to be thaw, and I don't think any of them will be thawed out by the time we get there. But however, as much as I'm not anticipating having anything, it wouldn't 100% surprise me if we got something in one of those traps prior to it freezing. So we may have something out there, I'm not sure. But we want to make sure, definitely by the end of the day, we have everything rescented and reset and thawed out or broke out if it needs to be, in anticipation for the next few days, where it's really going to warm up and stay warm even through the night, it's going to be above freezing. So they should be moving, and we want to be ready for that. So anywho, again, I'm sorry for the long spiel. I'm just getting out of work. I work third shift, and I'm pretty tired already, and still got the whole day to go. So you hang in there with us, and we'll see if I can get you anything at all today, and we will go from there. All right, thanks guys. Well, we stopped at this first stop down here. This is where we caught that one giant beaver for that guy. This swore there was beavers here. Sat here for 2 days, 3 days afterwards with nothing. Surprisingly, these two traps were not frozen. I'm shocked because everything is froze solid overnight. Well, for a while now. Like I said, Wednesday night into early into Thursday morning, and now it's Friday morning. So, but we did end up picking up a muskrat. If you can see him right there. That's it so far, but we'll get back with you. Yeah, welcome back, guys. So we did a little exploring on this river up here where they're flooding the property. Waters came up a lot. It's frozen and frozen like it was before, layer and then water and then layer. We came up that little channel I showed you from that little hut, did some exploring of this backwater back here, and we found another beaver hut, another beaver lodge right up here on this corner up here, about 150 yards from the other one. Unfortunately, it's on the other side of the river and it's way overhead. So until I can get something, which I don't even know if I want to drag a kayak or anything like that through this crap. Let me show you what we're dealing with. So, I know it looks wide open, but it's not, see? All this crap, we'd have to drag that thing through just to be able to check a trap or two up in here. And I don't know if it's worth it or not. That hut's over there on the opposite side. They're definitely going up and down off the bank. You can see the mud. We do have one down here in that little hut where we got the other two. It's amazing. We've got 3 decent sized beaver out of that little tiny hut. I'm guessing they're coming around the river though from this other one. I highly doubt they're all coming out of that little teeny tiny thing. I think they're coming around the river. But yeah, we gotta get back headed over the other direction again and try to get better set up. Stick with us. Yep. There's that little teeny tiny hut with a single run. That's 3 good-sized beaver off of that. Of course, Will just ran away with him, so I'll have to catch up to him here in a second so I can show you guys. But I mean, that little teeny tiny hut. I mean, it's not even 2.5, 3 feet off the ground there, and it's not more than 5 feet round. One run and 3 decent sized beaver. I'm thinking we're picking up some of them ones coming off that other hut down around the river. Gotta be. But I'll show you that beaver here in a second. All right, guys, there he is. He's definitely an adult. Probably not as heavy as the other ones. I could be wrong, but good beaver. All right, folks, we're back out here, right up there where we had that stuff pushed up against the bank by the river that looks like there's possibly mudding it up where it could be a hut. Still can't get across there yet. And right over there is where we have that other hut, right around that corner. You see it right there. And we had the drowner set up, and we think they're going around that. They kind of got smart to it, we think. So we're going to set up a drowner down there on their Castor mound. But we found a spot right here. We're going to set one, and I just realized we weren't videoing, so I'm not pulling that out. This is a rocky bottom. It took me a month of Sunday to get it down in there. But anyway, you drive that down in the bottom, get ready to anchor it up here, your trap ready to go right there in that pocket. But meanwhile, Willie's going to go over right there where I just smashed out that ice. Yeah. There's right there where them stumps are sticking up. Yeah. There's soft mud right there. Start grabbing mud. We're going to build us a good Castor mound right here. You can see, I hope you can see, where it's wet. I can't see with the light here. They're coming up through here, going over there to chew. So they're already using it. We're going to give them another reason to come up here and check it out. So here comes the first scoop. Usually do this by hand, but when you got to go a little ways to get good mud, when everything's frozen, you're nice to have a handy dandy shovel. Yep. About 2 more of those probably. Make it a nice good sized one. We're going to mimic, so what we're doing is we're going to mimic the Castor mounds that they're making, and then put our lures on it, and it makes it smell like there's a different beaver interfering in their area, and makes them want to come reset their own Castor mound and tear this one up and whatever else they like to do. They usually tear these Castor mounds up and then set another one close proximity to it. So you broke the shovel. Well, we recycled it for a few minutes anyway. We found that shovel in the swamp. I think that'll be all right. We'll wet it up good. So I guess what I'll do is I'll hand you over to him and let him record. Good?
Yep.
My gloves over here.
Alright.
So again, we're building up a Castor mound, trying to mimic what they're doing. The whole idea is to get them interested. Oh, we didn't put that there. Who put that there? And then they come back upstream, they get a whiff of the smell, or they get some of the oil in the water, and territorial instincts kick in. Right now is breeding season for them, so they're real territorial. Where'd that steak go away?
Oh, it's in the sled.
In the sled?
Unless you just had it.
So what we're gonna do, we'll slick this up the best we can, because everything's frozen. You want to make it look like something's been coming up and down the bank. So you slick everything up like it's kind of a slide. Put your Castor or whatever lure you're going to put up here on it. Splash it with some water, let some of the residual run down into the water so it gets down in there. The smell is going to carry over the water, and the oils will carry down, and if there's anything downstream, they're going to smell that oil. They're going to come right back up looking for it. We're going to stake that in, put the trap right in our spot here. So I'm going to have him cut the camera, go get their stake, and then we'll finish putting this one in. Then we'll move on to the next one.
Yep.
So typically, you'd be able to push this right down in this mud. Even though that's a rocky bottom, this bank is pretty muddy. But with everything being froze, you got to kind of poke and prod and try to find a spot where you're going to be able to get it down in where it's out of the way of the trap, but they can still run that slide down and drown. So see how everything's frozen solid? Even all that mud up in here is all frozen. But you don't want to try to put your stake crossways across here, because if they come back upstream to get to this, they're going to hit that, and they're not going to like that. Sometimes they'll go around it and come up, but most of the time, you try to keep it on the upstream side. That way, when they come swimming up, there's nothing in their way to come up in here. So I may end up finding my hammer or a rock, but I may be able to get it right there in that spot. If I can. Boy, it took me forever to get this thing down in there. There, we got a little bit more. Maybe that'll work. Try to find my spot there. It's going to be at a little bit of an angle. I don't really like that. They can pull that out. There we go. And you always want to make sure that they can run. So when you're setting one of these traps, you're putting it down in there, you want to bed it just like you're going to try to bed something for a land animal like a bobcat or a coyote or anything else. The only difference is you're not covering it back up. You just want to make sure it's seated so when they step on it, it doesn't rock or they don't get snapped on and then get trap shy or whatever. You want to make sure they step right on the pan. So as long as that's... Now watch the ice floating down the river. As long as that's nice and solid, I set it off to the side just a little bit so that when they come up here to snip this, their front foot hopefully is going to be right in that center of that pan. If not, it should be a back foot catch. But most of the time, right here, this close, when they come up on that ledge to put their foot down to come up to smell this, it should be a front foot right in the center of that pan. Make sure your slide can go. Drive your stake all the way in. Make sure it's in good. A lot of times I'll put a little something just kind of up against it or whatever. Try to make it look a little more natural. With current, it's harder, obviously. And then what I'll do, I'll put some guide sticks in here. They can come up over this pretty easily, but they're like any other animal, path of least resistance. So if they know that that's wide open, they can come right in here. They're going to come in there instead of going the other way. Like I said, just doesn't have to be anything crazy. You want to make sure nothing's going to stop your slide from working. Just some subtle guiding. Just to keep them funneled right in there. So when they come up there, like I said, when they go to put their feet down, should be a front foot right in the center of that pan. Okay? They get caught, they turn to go. The current's going to be pulling against them. They go down to the bottom, they can't come back up, plus the current pulling over the top of them. No matter what they do, they're down there. They're going to be there when we get back. So we're going to go ahead and put our caster on here, get this swished up, and this set's done. We'll see you on the next one. All right, we went and got ahead of ourselves again. We had this set over here. We think they got smart to it. We're going to move it over here. Sometimes just moving it is enough to intrigue them. That hut, like I said, is right there. So we just got that trap bedded in there. Might be part of the problem. It stands out a little bit, but I mean, we'll see what happens. Try to cover it with some silt or something. But now we got to get some mud for our Castor mound, just like the other set, only this one's on a cable. Same thing. Yeah, same thing. This is a rebar, just cable. They go down, they can't come back. So it's down in the depths. And I'll give you over to him. Start finding some mud. When things are frozen up, you just got to do what you got to do and find whatever you can find and make it work. We know this is a good spot, but for some reason we can't get them to commit. That's why we're going to put the other one over there, but they're already making in mounds over there and coming up there, but it's all covered in ice, so I got to break all the ice out of there first. Might as well remake this set, get it done, and then we can focus on that one, spend a little bit of time. I'd rather spend a little bit of time now and get sets good and right, where they're going to be not catching stuff on the way through the river. Tonight's going to get down to like 30, so it's just below freezing. Hopefully it's not enough to freeze all this back up again. And then from now on, it's supposed to be above freezing at night, I believe.
I think so.
So we should be in good shape once we have all this back set again. So that's why we're doing it. Try to get everything we can done now. Get ahead of it, so when they start moving, our sets are waiting on them. You don't worry about leaves and all that kind of crap. That's what they're bringing up from down to the depths. That's exactly the same stuff they're pulling off the bottom of river or wherever and bringing up to make their own Castor mounds. So try not to worry too much about that. I think I mentioned it on that last one we did. When I'm making a Castor mount, I do try to mimic near the size of the ones that they already have. I don't think that it matters, but it's just more eye appeal. They're able to see it easier from down there. You got to remember their head's right at water level, so if you got just a little mound up here, sometimes if there's sticks down there, they can't see it. They live right by it, then they smell it. Maybe they come back, maybe they don't. Like I said, right now it's breeding season. They very well could have other things on their mind when they're already past the set and just don't want to come back. They're animals just like any other animal. They're going to take the path of least resistance, and if they're traveling that way, they're not going to want to turn around and go a half mile back. So you try to make it so they can see it right from the start, and then they get down just down here away from it and they smell it or whatever, and they want to turn around and come back and check it out. So that should work. Now we'll put our lure on there. That trap set where they come up through there to check that out. There's already a couple sticks in the water. We didn't have to put anything here. It's kind of funneling and guiding them in there. They should step on that trap. The slide's clear and they should slide right down and be waiting on us when we get back. So we're gonna lure this one up and then we'll see you on the next one when we get back over there, the one we were gonna do. But I gotta clear a bunch of ice out. Maybe we'll show you that first and then after. Did you bring the other?
Want me to stop that now?
What's that?
Want to keep recording or?
Yeah, it don't matter. Did you bring the other? Phew. Got Willie gassing me out over here. I got to get on the upwind side. Anyway, so this is that Castor mound we found the other day with fresh mud I showed you guys, and there was some fresh mud there. This was wide open, as you can see. It's all slush and ice and covered up and whatever, but since we were here last, there is some fresh mud there. So I'm guessing just before it froze over, they were up here using this again. So I do want to get this set so when this ice is gone, it's sitting on there waiting for them to come up. So I'm going to try to break a little bit of this stuff open, get it loosened up, maybe give it a head start. Again, it may, we're going to drop down to 30. It may, if the wind picks up too much, freeze over again, but we'll see. So this is what it looks like anyways. I had a feeling this is that long farm. We had the abandoned hut on the other end of this property where they broke that dam out. We pulled all those sets out because we weren't getting any activity. There was no fresh sign. Down here on the other side of the river, the only trap that's been catching anything so far, we caught 2 beaver in that single trap that I showed you where I moved over with the 330 because it was freezing in and I wanted it more in the sun. I had a feeling there was a trap smart beaver in here, so I wanted to put a foothold set in here, grounder. We can see there's something down in here. We don't know how big it is yet. Just see something shiny brown in there. We're going to pull this up, take a look at it. Figure we might as well show you what we got. And we got to break this ice out. But hopefully it's a big one. I'm hoping it's that big trap smart one because it'd be nice to get these adults out of here and then we can move on to the next area. See, the Castor mound was right here. The trap was right there. Cable strung out. I'm still dealing with everything having froze over last night. Thursday got really cold. It was like in the teens and with the wind, it was what, -5, I think, or something like that.
Yeah,
It was
around
cold.
that, yeah.
So everything froze over again, and we were having troubles with that. We waited till today because we knew it was going to be warmer, and I'm thinking we caught all these beaver. Well, I say all of them. We got 2 before. Well, no, we got 1 at the other property, but I'm thinking we caught them all before it iced up, right at the end of that warm spell, just before the cold really hit and started freezing. I'm sure they started moving before that front came through. So let's pull them up and see what we got, if anything's decent. Hopefully it's decent. What one's that? There's something came. I don't know what he was wrapped up on, but oh, that looks like a good sized beaver, Bubba. I don't know, but maybe. Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's definitely a big one.
That is a good beaver. Oh, look at that. That's that trap smart one. I told you there was one in here. We knew we caught that one adult. And there had to be another adult in here. They hadn't shot any. And he just was not going near the 330s. So made a judgment call. Threw a drowning set in here. Nothing for him to be nervous of or shy of. Come right up here and you can see he stepped. He was completely committed to stepping in that trap. Right up above the ankle. Front leg catch. And that's all she wrote. We went down to the end of that drounder and he was not coming back. So that's a good deal. Get all these adults out of here. That one up there. We got one we'll show you in a minute. It's in a 330 Castor mound set that we had. First time that one struck. We are close to 2 tiny little huts, but 2 lodges. And looks like either a really small 2-year-old or last year's kit. I don't like catching those. These guys would prefer them to be out of here. Again, this was a nuisance job. They want them all gone, but I'm pretty sure I can plead the case to them that it's all right to have a couple in here. So we'll see what happens, but we'll get him out of here, get this set remade, and then we'll move on down the line to that last one. It's the only other one. We walked this whole line. That's the only other beaver we got here. So that makes 3 for the day. Two really good ones, 2 good adults, and whatever this one is down here, I believe it's a small 2-year-old or last year's kit. I'm not sure till we get it up out of there, but get him out of here and we'll catch you up there when we get that one out. This is the other one we got today. Again, like I said, I don't really like catching smaller beaver. I'd really rather leave them for the next year, but landowners have their rights and they're paying to do a job. So you got to do the job, and if you don't do the job right, they're not going to ask you back the next year. These main rivers, you're going to have families of beaver moving in every year. And so it's just a constant thing. You know, if they're not overrun with them, they don't worry about them. Sometimes you can go 2-3 years without having to come in and do anything. But there's a lot of times, like I said, these deep main rivers, for some reason, they just get plugged up with beaver. And it don't take long to have 6-10 beaver right here in the local area. And they're just wreaking havoc. Farmers want them out. So this here is actually a crossing. I don't know if you can see that trail going down over the other side. So we set this. We knew that there was a possibility we could have beaver, or where there was a possibility we could have otter coming through here. So didn't know exactly what we were going to catch. I did have some scent down here just in case, and obviously the beaver liked it. So I'm gonna get him up out of here. It does look like a smaller one, so I apologize to anybody that's offended that I'm catching smaller beaver, but you can't pick and choose what goes in your traps. Once you set that trap, whatever they're going to do what they want to do. So unless you're going to sit here all night long and watch your trap and shoo off any little thing that's in front of it, which you can do, but have fun with that. You're going to have incidental catches. I've caught coon and stuff like this, coming down to check things out. You know, otters, muskrat. You never know. That's part of trapping, and that's you know, just the way it is. So we set that, like I said, in the hopes that we were going to get something either crossing or curious, and we got a curious one. So yep, definitely a smaller one. Unfortunately, it's just the way it goes sometimes. So pull him out of here, get this reset that up, and right now it looks like we're on the downhill slide where we've caught 2 big beaver and a 2-year-old and this little guy. So we're probably looking at pulling sets here pretty soon. Get out of here, so we're not going to keep catching these little ones, and hopefully the landowner's okay with that. I'll have a conversation with them, but no sense in setting traps and just catching little beaver. They don't cause anywhere near the havoc that a big one does, and there's really no reason to run them off if you don't have to. So we'll see what they got to say, but nuisance trapping's nuisance trapping. Again, if the landowner says nope, keep going, traps are going to stay here till the job's done. So unfortunate, but that's the way it is. But appreciate you guys being here, and we'll do a closing later with a weight on that guy. I don't know that he's 35. He might be pushing 40 pounds, but he's still a decent beaver. He's an adult. So we'll get a weight on him and we'll do a closing later. But we'll see you guys back at the house. Well, folks, I realized that I didn't do the ending of the video yesterday with the weight on that beaver or anything, so I'm going to have to get to that at some point. We'll put it at the end of this video now. Today's Saturday. We reset all those traps yesterday. The water dropped like a couple feet. So we're thinking that the ice came down and took one of the dams out. We got to readjust everything again. Not today, but we got everything set so it's at least workable, but not the way we would normally set it. So anyway, we're back over here to this first spot where we had this dam crossover. We weren't getting anything. We noticed that there was some activity over here, so we opened that back up and stuck a 330 in there. And this guy came to pay a visit to plug it back up, and we got him. So we're going to reset back in this and hope that we catch another one of his, get his mate coming up through here. Not sure how much he weighs, but he's a good adult beaver, so that's good. First one of the day. All the other traps were empty or out of the water. Like I said, we had to readjust them, and we still got the other property we got to go check, that long farm. So stick with us. All right, guys, well, we're down here on the farm on that longer property. This is where we had that big one yesterday on that foothold. The trap's gone again, so we did get that one beaver at the other property where the water dropped. We got to readjust, and we're going to see what this guy here is, and we got like 1 trap or 2 traps left to check. I'm going to hand you over to my buddy here, Mr. William, and we'll see what we got, if anything here. Maybe just a toe, you never know. Depends on how he hit the trap. This is one of our smaller traps. They work, but sometimes if they don't hit it just right, they got that half a chance to snap their foot out of there. And you use what you got. Obviously you wouldn't use like a 1.5 or something for beaver, but number 3 Duke it works. It's just you gotta make sure they get a good solid. This one was all wrapped up on something yesterday. Doesn't feel like it's wrapped up today. And we got another smaller one. That's what I was afraid of. So there's a kit. Unfortunately, like I said, on nuisance jobs, it happens. there's really nothing we can do about it. You got your trap set. What steps in them you have no control over. So we're going to definitely be pulling traps here pretty soon. Moving on to another spot. We got more locations to go to, so hang in there with us, and we'll check this other trap. If we don't have anything, I'll see you back at the house. I'll do the closing that I didn't get to do yesterday, and that'll be it for this video. And then hopefully the next video will be finishing up the other property, and or at least getting everything back the way it needs to be with the water levels, because the water levels keep fluctuating so much we're having a hard time staying ahead of it. Maybe on to a new property, so hang in there with us, guys. All right, guys, I told you I'd do a welcome back to everybody. I told you I'd do a closing video on this. So there's the 4 decent size, well, 3 good beavers, 1 2-year-old, and then of course we got 2 little ones, which unfortunately nuisance trapping, that's just the way it is. I told you guys I would do a weight on this bigger guy that we got, and I will. I figured while we're in here, the three big ones that we got, we might as well do weights on. So I'm going to get them roped up and ready to go, and when we're ready, I'll have Will video, and we'll do each one of them and show you the 3 bigger ones that we got and what they weighed, and then we'll close things out. Hang in.
Yeah, recorded.
Well, so anyway, we're having a conversation here. We can't remember which one of these came off of that I told you we'd get a weight on, but we figured to heck with it. We're going to weigh all 3 of the bigger ones and just give you the weights on all 3 of them. That way we cover our bases. We've got one beaver here that's covered in beaver beetles, unfortunately. So hopefully we can get rid of those. But we'll get started here. This guy, get him up here. This scale's in 5-pound increments. So you can see that's just above the 45-pound mark, so he's about 42 pounds on that guy there. Get him hung up and let him dry so we can get working on him. Get this guy up here. See what this one is. This guy here, just over 40, about 41 pounds, we'll call it. Not as big as the beaver, some of the beaver that we've been catching, but they're still adults. And then this guy here, get him up here. Let him stop bouncing here. So 25, 30, right about 35, 36 pounds on that guy. So there you go. We got 3 good adults, 1 2-year-old, and a couple of kits, which is unfortunate, but if you're going to nuisance trap, you're going to have it. Actually, any trapping, you can get them if you're close enough to the huts and things, but now it seems like this spring, with everything letting loose, even the little ones are traveling farther away from home than normal, so it's just part of trapping, unfortunately. You can't pick and choose what steps in your traps and whatnot. So we appreciate you guys hanging in there with us. Again, if anybody's interested in Justin Cleveland's Castor mustard, you get a hold of me and I'll hook you up with him. And we will be moving on to new properties very shortly, so we look forward to bringing some new videos for you guys. All right, thanks a lot. God bless.